A veteran is told, just get a doctor to write at least as likely as not. Those are the magic words. It sounds simple. It is also one of the most important shortcuts to question. That phrase does not guarantee approval. A medical opinion is not a password. The reasoning behind it, the facts it considers, and the way it fits with the rest of the record matter. Today, we're going to make that understandable, without the internet jargon and without promising an outcome.
Welcome to the Veteran Benefits Reset Podcast, where we help veterans and their families better understand the VA disability benefits process, one step at a time. I'm your host, Cameron Burrell, a U.S. Army veteran and founder of VetBiz Media. If you are filing a first claim, reviewing a denial, gathering medical evidence, or simply trying to understand service connection, this episode is for you. We will look at what a Nexus opinion does, what that familiar phrase generally means, and how to focus on evidence instead of chasing keywords. This is independent educational information, not individualized legal or medical advice. Every veteran's circumstances are different, and no episode can predict a VA decision.
Let's start with the basic question. What is a nexus? In many direct service connection questions, people are looking at three connected pieces. There is a current disability or diagnosed condition. There is an in-service event, injury, illness, exposure, or aggravation that may be relevant. And there is the connection between the current condition and service. That connection is what people often call the nexus.
Here is a general example we can keep in mind. Imagine a service member injures a knee during training in 2012. A service record documents the injury and a complaint of pain. Years later, in 2018, a civilian medical record documents a knee diagnosis. The current condition may be documented. The in-service event may also be documented. But someone still has to evaluate the medical relationship between those facts. That is the part a nexus opinion may address. This example is not a prediction about any claim. It is simply a way to see how the pieces fit together.
Now, what does at least as likely as not generally communicate? In plain language, it usually expresses that the medical relationship is at least as plausible as the alternative, often described as a 50% or greater likelihood. But wait, does that mean certainty? No. Does it mean the condition definitely came from service? No. Does it mean a favorable decision must follow? Also no. The phrase describes the level of likelihood being expressed. It does not explain how the professional reached that conclusion.
Think of the phrase as one part of an answer, not the whole answer. The rationale is the explanation. What records did the medical professional review? What history did they consider? How does the timeline affect the opinion? Were there other injuries, illnesses, or events that needed to be discussed? What medical principles support the conclusion? The phrase may state the opinion, but the rationale shows the path to that opinion. The phrase is not the product. The reasoning is the product. That is why copying preferred language into a document cannot replace a complete medical analysis.
Return to our knee example. Suppose a private opinion says the knee condition is at least as not likely related to the 2012 training injury, but the opinion never mentions the 2018 diagnosis, never discusses the years between those records, and does not explain what information was reviewed. The favorable phrase is present. The reasoning may still leave important questions unanswered. Now imagine an opinion that identifies the 2012 injury, reviews the later records, discusses the timeline, considers other relevant medical history, and explains why the professional reached the stated conclusion. That second description is not a guarantee either. It simply shows why a reasoned opinion gives the reader more to evaluate than a sentence standing alone.
This is where the magic word approach can send people in the wrong direction. Someone online may say, just get the exact phrase. But a keyword does not replace a medical foundation. An opinion can be favorable and still need careful review. And a professional may use different wording while clearly explaining the likelihood and the facts behind it. The important question is not, did someone type the secret sentence? The better question is, does this opinion address the relevant facts
and explain the medical connection. Facts over frustration. Education before action.
Different evidence sources also have different jobs. Service treatment records may document complaints, treatment, evaluations, or an injury. Personnel records may add context about duties, assignments, or documented events. Post-service treatment records may show symptoms, testing, diagnoses, and changes over time. Your own statement can describe what you felt, when you noticed it, and how it affected your daily life. A family member or coworker may describe changes they personally observed. Those observations can provide useful context, but they do not automatically answer a specialized medical question.
It also helps to separate treatment records, C&P examinations, and private medical opinions. Treatment records are created during care. A C&P examination is arranged in connection with a VA claim and may address questions identified by the VA. A private opinion comes from a medical professional outside that examination process. None of those labels automatically makes one source superior in every situation. Read what each source actually says. What history was recorded? What findings were made? What records were considered? What explanation was provided?
A C&P examination is not a contest where you need to perform perfectly. Answer honestly and as clearly as you can. Describe what you personally experienced, when you noticed it, and how it has changed. Do not exaggerate, but do not minimize your symptoms just because you are used to living with them. A private opinion is not automatically a winning document either. A medical professional should make an independent assessment based on appropriate information and expertise, not simply provide a requested result. You can explain your history and provide records. The professional must make the medical judgment.
Let's test a few common statements. A Nexus letter always wins. No, it is evidence, not a guarantee. A gap in treatment automatically ends a claim. Not necessarily. A gap may raise questions, but people manage care differently. Access, cost, work, family responsibilities, self-treatment, and other circumstances can affect when someone seeks treatment. A gap should be understood in context. And this one, a favorable opinion needs no explanation. No, a conclusion without a clear rationale may leave important questions unanswered. Be cautious with anyone promising a rating, an approval, or a guaranteed result because they know the right words. No one phrase can do that.
Your own account still matters, even though it is different from a medical nexus. You know what you felt. You may remember when symptoms began, what activities made them worse, and how they affected sleep, work, or daily life. You do not need to use medical language to make your experience valid. Plain, accurate details are usually better than trying to sound like a medical report. Separate what you personally observed from what someone else told you. If a date is uncertain, say it is approximate. Do not guess with false precision.
Before your next conversation with a VA-accredited veteran service organization, claims agent, attorney, or medical professional, make a simple one-page list with 3 columns. In the first column, write what is documented. For our example, that might be a 2012 service record showing a knee injury and a 2018 treatment note showing a diagnosis. In the second column, write what you personally remember, such as continuing pain or difficulty with certain activities. In the third column, write what is still unknown. Maybe the missing piece is whether additional treatment records exist or how a qualified professional evaluates the medical relationship. Then add focused questions. Does the record identify a current disability? Is the service event or history documented? If a medical connection is needed, has a qualified professional addressed it? What information did that professional review? Does the reasoning discuss the timeline and any significant intervening events? If there was a previous VA decision, what exactly did it say was missing or unproven? Read the decision carefully instead of relying on an online summary. Current procedures can change, so verify information through official VA resources and ask an accredited representative to explain the options that may apply. You can also build a small evidence table. 1 fact, 1 source, and 1 unanswered question. That is all. It is not a claim strategy, and it is not a substitute for professional advice. It is an organization tool. It helps turn a pile of disconnected paperwork into a timeline someone can understand. It may also reveal that an online promise is based on one key word, while your real question involves records, medical history, and reasoning. One step, one record, one mission.
So here is the takeaway. A Nexus opinion addresses the connection between a current disability and a service-related event or history when that medical connection is relevant. At least as likely as not generally expresses a level of likelihood. It does not express certainty, and it does not guarantee a result. The complete opinion matters. The qualifications, the records reviewed, the timeline, the facts, and the explanation. Treatment records, C&P examinations, private opinions, and personal observations can each play different roles. Look for the complete story, not the magic sentence.
Your action before the next episode is simple. Create that one-page evidence and question list. Write down the current diagnosis, the service event or history, the timeline, the records you have, the records you may need to locate, and the questions you want answered. Then take that list to an appropriate VA-accredited professional. You do not have to solve the entire process in one sitting. Stay organized, stay informed, take the next responsible step. Thanks for listening to the Veteran Benefits Reset podcast. I hope today's episode gave you a clear understanding of the VA disability benefits process and one practical step you can take toward getting organized. Remember, this podcast is an independent educational resource. It is not legal or medical advice, and it does not replace guidance from a VA-accredited veteran service organization, claims agent, or attorney. If you found this episode helpful, please follow the podcast, leave a review, and share it with another veteran, family member, or caregiver who could benefit. Download the free 7-step Veteran Benefits Reset Guide at vetbizmedia.com/veteran7. And remember, your service did not expire. Your story is still worth reviewing. Take the next responsible step.